Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with more revenge stories. If you haven't already, please don't forget to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube for exclusive Reddit content. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, Revenge on a coworker who left me to work 9 hours without a break. So for a bit of background, for a summer at university I worked as a cafe manager in a large British homeware store. I originally started as a normal cafe staff member but was promoted within a week as the old manager was leaving due to ill health. This caused friction with the other staff as they had been there longer and one of them, lazy worker LW, was older than me and so he thought he should have gotten the job. Now LW trained me when I first started and he showed me some tricks to make the start and close procedures quicker. For example, allowing you to leave early or mess about for half an hour before the cafe opened. These tricks were really just not taking temp readings for the fridges and food and making them up, as there were about 20 places to take readings for in the cafe and the back room, including 4 massive freezers. Onto the story. After I had been promoted, he had been getting more and more late and uncooperative and just generally being a difficult person. One Sunday, it was meant to be me, LW and another staff member, but the other staff member had a family emergency and could not come in, which was fine. Then LW did not come in and no one could get a hold of him until 2 hours after his shift started and he said he had food poisoning. I had my doubts but was too busy trying to teach my manager, the store manager and another random store employee how to cook everything and use the tills and coffee machine. I ended up working 9 hours without a break and having to open and close the cafe on my own. I was pissed to say the least. Then I noticed LW had posted on Facebook photos of himself out drinking the night before and then going to a family barbecue today. Cue some petty revenge. 2 of the larger freezers in the back had stopped working that day and so we had put large out of order signs on them. I knew LW was opening the next day, so I also tidied the area under the till and put the temp sensors in a box with a label so they were not in the normal messy pile. The next day I came in just before the cafe opened and was walking to the back room with my manager to inspect the freezers when I saw LW on his phone and I asked if the temp readings have been done. He yells, "Of course," and brings the sheets over and apologizes for missing yesterday as he was just so ill. As he walks away I looked at the sheets and sure enough he had a reading of -10 or -100, I'm not sure, degrees for each of the broken freezers. Showed this to my manager and we went to check these magically fixing freezers, which were of course still broken. I also showed her his Facebook photos and told her the tricks he tried to teach me. Oh boy, was she mad. She stormed out to the cafe and started screaming at him about his lying about the temp readings and how he could kill someone if the food was too warm overnight and a bunch of other things. I may have sat on a display sofa near the cafe with some other staff who did not like him, giggling at the yelling and his fumbled excuses. He tried to say it was the temp sensors that were wrong and he didn't see the massive signs on the door. Trouble is, he could not find the sensors when asked to prove it and that led to even more yelling when my manager came behind the counter and found them instantly in the box labeled temp sensors. He had to redo all his training, was supervised by my manager for a month and he had to work weekend shifts which he hated as it got in the way of his band playing. I left not long after that and I still think about his face after being caught out. And guys, I'm curious, did you ever have to deal with a similar coworker? People who always take shortcuts? And I gotta say guys, when it comes to work ethic, I have the following opinion. If you cannot dedicate your time or your will to something 100%, then simply don't do it. If you always want to take shortcuts when doing something, then it's probably not the right thing to do for you. It's the same with YouTube. Of course I could upload 2 or 3 10-minute videos per day, but instead I just do one long one because I know the viewers prefer this. I think essentially it comes down to whether or not you want to really do something. And the next one is titled, Coworker said something horrible after friend coworker passes away, so I slowly drive her to quit. 6 years ago, working crappy job. Friends with everyone except this one older woman, OW, who would make snide comments, call me and my friends young snotty idiots, YSB, and I'm pretty sure broke into my phone when I left it in a company vehicle once. Our supervisor, S, was awesome and hated her just as much as we did, but had to be professional. She was also romantically involved with her boss, B. As a result of a pre-existing medical condition, she passed away in the middle of the night. Supervisor was like a mentor and second mother, and I took her death really hard. So when I heard that OW was spreading rumors it was B's fault that S died, it obviously wasn't. No one believed her, but I was furious she would be so nasty to B so soon after the funeral, and decided I was sick of her and her drama. So the other girls and I started to secretly drive her crazy. If she would talk, we would pretend we could not hear, we wouldn't acknowledge she existed. We wouldn't talk about anything other than work when we had to talk to her. She was bad at her job, and before we just put up with it, but now we were as condescending and belittling as you could be without being outright rude, so when she complained about us to B, he wouldn't have to reprimand us. Everything she used to say we made a reality, and she could not say anything because we smiled and had a polite tone. For example, I know how hard it is to remember, but you just have to make sure that when you do A, that you do 1, 2, 3 first. Less than a week after S's funeral, OW walked off the job without a word to anyone. Edit, almost forgot, best part, we had a company carpool, and the morning after she walked off the job, we did not know she quit yet and thought she just left in a huff. The boss did not bother calling to check up on her, show up to pick her up, and she's not coming out. So I call her and she starts out all angry. I quit because of you. I cut her off and said, okay, sounds good, have a good day, in my best customer service voice, and hung up. F her. And guys, please let me know in the comments if you still enjoy these stories about entitled and crazy coworkers. In addition, please don't forget to click the bell button if you are subscribed already to not miss any of my videos in the future. And the next one is an epic revenge story, and it is titled, You fire me for talking about unionizing? I will spill all your dirty secrets. This is a bit of a long one, please bear with me to the end. I used to work for a plasma collection center back from 2008 to 2010. Even though I was a certified phlebotomist, or whatever you call that, I was placed up in reception, and I slowly worked my way up to senior receptionist and trainer. I was also training for quality control and was known for keeping detailed notes of issues that were in need of fixing / training, which I would forward on to management. Some of the things that I would keep track of were violations of FDA and GHA, German Health Authority, since we were run by a German / Swiss company, as well as OSHA issues. Because I was not seeing anything being done, I eventually stopped reporting the issues to avoid being labeled as a troublemaker and just kept time/date info, and if I could, I got pictures with timestamps just to cover my own ass in case something bad went down. Fast forward to June of 2010, and I was talking with one of my coworkers about the proposed cuts to benefits and the high turnover rate at our center. They were complaining to me about being afraid to call in sick because others had been fired for it. And I mentioned that they were putting donors in danger by us being sick, since we were not allowed to wear face masks unless we were in the back in the donor area, and even then it was the clear face shields to prevent getting hit if someone leaked on us. Without thinking about it, I talked about how unions protected against this sort of thing in other medical fields and how that might be something we should consider to help protect us. The coworker got weirdly quiet, but I figured it was because I was talking about a subject most people don't like talking about. And guys, just to interrupt quickly here, I'm not sure why that is a topic that people don't really like talking about. In Germany, people definitely enjoy talking about that. Then again, I'm not really sure how people react to unions in the United States. Maybe it is not common or something. Either way, nothing really happened until about August, when another coworker grabbed my ponytail while I was working with a donor and yanked down on it, jerking my head back. I had informed everyone I worked with to never touch my hair because it was a trauma trigger for me from being abused, and so this coworker knew I would wind up in panic mode from this. She had seen it happen before when a donor touched my hair, so this was deliberate. I remember telling her to not do that again or I would make her get away. She of course walked up and yanked my hair even harder and I hit her. The supervisors went into damage control mode as I fled the area, still in a panic response, and one of them cornered me and demanded that I write down what happened because I had assaulted someone on the property. I wrote my side as well as told them to check security footage since the camera was aimed right at the booth I was working at and had clear view of the events. Turned out everyone else told an entirely different and creepily similar story than what I told, and the footage could not be found even though less than half an hour had passed. I was fired for assault less than an hour later and escorted off the premises after being given 5 minutes to clear out my locker and get my belongings. So, onto the revenge, which was two-pronged. My partner was there on that day and saw what happened and tried to offer to write up what he saw but was denied. So the next time he went in, he wound up being screened by the coworker who yanked my hair, who did not even get a write up for assaulting me, and asked her loudly enough that the whole reception area could hear, "So, how's those 50 shekels of silver, Judas? Was it worth it?" Which left her in tears and another person had to finish screening him. He wound up being banned for 6 months for his attitude, but he claims it was more than worth it. While this was going on, I had been reaching out to the various organizations and departments that oversaw plasma donation and collection. The FDA, OSHA, CDC, GHA and the like. I informed them of the fact that we always clean prior to an inspection, but we didn't keep things that clean day to day and suggested a surprise inspection should be in order. I also handed over copies of everything I had collected and tried to report, but always got shut down. I learned a few months later that all of the management and several of the other techs and supervisors were all suddenly reassigned, and the FDA, GHA and OSHA had all slammed fines on the center for violations dating back almost the whole time I worked there. Too long didn't read, don't F with the person who keeps meticulous notes and has nothing left to lose. ETA to answer a few questions. This is a US located center. The company was started in Switzerland, is reviewed by the German Health Authority and was then bought out by an Australian company but runs centers in the US. The company is also very anti-union. Number 2. A receptionist at a plasma center is way different than a receptionist at a typical office. We are responsible for donor intake, donor screenings, including minor blood collection, checking levels such as hematocrit and protein, and verifying donor eligibility, on top of things such as keeping donor files up to date, cleaned up if they are too big, making a new file, quality control, and assisting in areas where needed, such as the donor floor or processing. And that is on top of filing and answering phones when able. Number 3. I was upfront with my bosses and coworkers about my PTSD and triggers due to past experiences with trying to hide them and it turning out badly outside of work. Number 4. Yes, my partner's comment was more petty than anything else, and for those wondering the meaning behind it, he was saying she sold out someone she claimed was a friend for a reward of some sort. I don't know about you guys, but that definitely reminds me of a certain biblical story. Either way guys, I'm curious, have you ever been part of a union in the US? And if so, how was your experience? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. All your help is very much appreciated, it really helps to push the channel forward, thank you so much. And the next one is titled, Cheated out of promotion, reported employer and coworker for breaking state law. I tried posting this to Pro Revenge, but they said this is not pro enough. I personally think having someone else do your dirty work is a pro move, but to each his own. Here is my story. At work, I was up for a promotion and was transitioning to be the new lead. I was training under the old lead that was leaving the company, and then someone with more years of experience but poor at her job found out. The more experienced and cliquey coworker made my life hell and undermined me at every stop, generally being a bully and loudmouth. Despite putting in the extra work and generally being better at my job, she was better at playing the game. They decided to bring in an outside hire to placate the butthurt clique. The logic was they said they would quit and my job couldn't afford to lose that group. Destroyed my morale and led to some substance abuse for quite a while. My will to do good at work was gone. And then it came to my attention that this person was knowingly working with an expired license for the past year, but our management was too dense to notice. Figured my revenge would be management firing her, since that is a huge no-no, but they sent her home with vacation pay, she returns, and I pretty much decided it is time to switch jobs after that. But not before filing a formal complaint to the state on both the coworker for not being licensed and my employer for failing to take appropriate action. Some will say I am a snitch, but why does allowing breaking state law have to be tolerated? It changed the path of my career because that promotion meant everything to me, so they can go F themselves with whatever the state does to them. And the next one is titled, "Coworker tries to get me to harass waitresses, I break him off the habit instead." This happened a few years back while working my new job as a restaurant dishwasher. I quickly began to notice that a certain line cook treated the waitresses incredibly poorly. Let's call him Greg. If they were over 18, he would be pretty regularly remind them how beautiful they were. Not only that, since he and I were the same age, he would try and get me in on the shenanigans too. When I refused to participate, he would immediately jump to questioning my sexuality. Real winner, that one. Fast forward a few weeks, I was busy cleaning back of house and Greg just happened to be following a female line cook on her way to the freezer. Let's call her Jen. Jen was 18, in a relationship and in high school. He was 24, in a relationship and a father. Per usual, Greg was reminding Jen she had a face. Per usual, when I refused to join in, Greg asked if I was gay. Cue the revenge. "Oh Greg, if I was gay, do you really think I could keep my hands off you?" I think he might have said something back, but could not hear him over the sound of Jen at that particular moment. Never heard him hit on female coworkers again, never heard him call me gay again, and of course, Jen rather enjoyed telling the story to their fellow cooks while standing next to Greg. And the last one is titled, "I am so petty because I won't let my coworker treat me like a secretary." Since the day this dude was hired, I have hated being around him. I have worked for my uncle as a plumber for 8 years. This dude was hired about 3 or 4 years ago. He has improved a lot since I met him, to his credit, gone to AA meetings religiously, stopped being a bully as much, but he is still a narcissistic idiot who talks way too damn much and thinks he's bigger and more in charge and in control than he actually is. I could go on and on about how insufferable this dude is, but I would have to write a novel for that. One thing that has really bothered me about him is that he constantly asks me to call my boss using my phone, even though he has his own perfectly good phone. Out of all of our employees, he is the only one who does this. This has gone on since he was hired, but for the past year when he has asked me, I have reminded him that he has a phone he can use. He will throw a fuss about it sometimes, and sometimes I give in because it just gets busy and I don't have time to argue, or at least I didn't think I did. Now I have made it a point, and boy have I had to repeat myself, that if he asks me for my phone, that I don't care what kind of a rush we are in, where is his phone? He usually says that it is in the truck. Last Friday was when it really came to a head. He tells me to call my boss. Why he does this? I have no idea. I don't know what he needs to tell him, but he needs to tell himself for that reason. I offered to grab his phone from the truck, but I cannot find it. I had been pretty fed with him for a while, so I tell him, "I don't know where your phone is, but you better find it if you want to make a call." He raises hell that I am the most petty person and then proceeds to call my uncle and, without any context, just tells him that I am the most petty person ever. I don't fret too much over this because I've seen my uncle put down the phone when entitled coworker just talks and talks and talks and then picks it up again when he needs to respond. Entitled coworker is completely oblivious to this. I tell him that I am not his secretary, so then he has the nerve to tell me that because I'm his helper, I might as well be his secretary. I could not believe how pissed he was about it, but I am the petty one. I was rather secure in my stance after I saw his true colors. It was rather funny to me to see him lose it over something so menial, while I just kept calm, composed and entertained by the whole affair. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's content, and by the way, if you haven't already, please also don't forget to go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more exclusive Reddit content. We already have more than 20 exclusive videos over there, so it is becoming more and more worth it. Prices for exclusive videos start at $3 per month, but of course I don't want to pressure you into buying anything. If you continue supporting me on YouTube, that is all I could pretty much ever had hoped for, and I am so grateful for everyone that is still supporting me. Either way, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I see you again tomorrow.